dyslexia, okay?
Dishonor on you! Dishonor on your cow!
Welcome, foolish mortals.
It is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we welcome you tonight.
Obscure Disney Podcast.
Brought to you by Monsters Inc. Tattoo Parlor. Experts of art on fur, scales, and mucous membranes.
To all that have found this podcast, welcome. You're listening to the Obscure Disney Podcast. I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan, and today we're going to be taking a swat at Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh, that sounds so aggressive.
Doesn't it though?
We're so aggressive today.
Yeah.
We literally, not even using hyperbole, literally just got back from watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we're going to kind of discuss things. So, spoiler alert is in full effect here. I have no problem spoiling the movie for you. So if you're listening and haven't seen the movie, just know we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about the movie. But I wanted to jump back for a second and kind of talk about just the superhero movies in general for a second.
Yeah.
Because historically you look back and it's kind of well known that in the early 2000s, like when X-Men came out, we started falling in love with superhero movies again. They were being taken very seriously and weren't super cartoony or over the top. And so people really started enjoying them again. And so they've started making a lot of them.
A lot?
A lot.
Like a million?
Like a gabillion. Like, I was just trying to figure it out. I was Googling around, and there was someone that said the 50 top superhero movies of the last decade. Means 50, 50, wow. Which means there's been more than 50 for them to pick the top 50 movies of the last 10 years.
What would your top 50 be?
Oh my goodness. How long is this podcast? I couldn't even think of, I'm sure I could think of, 10 or 20 off the top of my head, but 50? That's a lot. And I'm worried that, are we getting oversaturated with superheroes? Are they just beating us over the head with superhero movies?
Yeah, I am not a superhero fan. It's not my genre of movie at all,
right.
Obviously. But I do love Disney and all of the park stuff and the number stuff and the business stuff. But I tell you, these, we went to go see Infinity Wars a minute and a half ago.
Really? Yeah. It wasn't long enough to justify another movie coming out so quickly.
Right.
And I worry that the production companies see dollar signs, and so they just charge into this genre with guns ablazing, and they're just going to murder this entire genre for us again. Because you remember in the 90s, they did a superhero thing, and we got tired of it real quick. They did, the original Batmans, they did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they did Men in Black. They've done all these kind of comic book superhero type movies, and we got tired of them. And I just wonder, how long is it until we get tired of it again? Are we tired of it already?
Well, apparently not really, because, we live in Atlanta, and when we were at the theater we just went to, people in Atlanta are just vocal in general, but man, people were all about this movie. They were laughing and clapping and getting all into it. It has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has made $75.8 million opening weekend here in the U.S. and $161 million worldwide.
So no, we're not tired of it. We're still willing to give them money.
Yeah, we went to go see it. And we paid money.
Really, I feel like the storylines are just getting so overdone and redone by the same characters.
Yeah.
But we can talk more about that later. Let's move into Ant-Man. The first movie we saw a preview for in the parks.
Yeah.
In California Adventure, they took over the It's Tough to Be a Bug theater, and did a preview of Ant-Man for us in there.
Right.
Now, in general, I am not a fan of this practice. I don't like these extended previews taking up space in the amusement parks. I feel like Disney's better than that. They should be putting, well, maybe not better than that, apparently.
Apparently not, because they keep doing it. And they just put the simplest of previews in there, too. They extend them out. They end up being 15 or 20 minutes long. We've seen previews now for A Wrinkle in Time. But by the way, I did get a free button for The Wrinkle in Time, and I love that button. I still have that button. It ain't going nowhere.
We got Flair.
And there were huge posters of Oprah and
In drag.
That was some exciting stuff right there. And so that I love. But then we ended up seeing 20 minutes of the show on that one.
Right.
And then we saw Cars 3. There was a preview for that one that was 20 minutes long. So much to the point that when we saw the movie in the theaters, I thought they had actually rehashed scenes from another movie. But no. They were just things that we saw in the park already.
Well, and, shame on us because we keep going and watching them anyway. So,
how can you not?
But it's a chance to get out of the heat and be in the air conditioning for a minute, which I can appreciate, but I just wish that there was something more to it than, here's a bunch of scenes from a movie. Or, in the Captain EO Theater, they just show a compilation of scenes from movies that are already out.
Yeah, I think that one is probably the most offensive one that they've done.
Yeah.
When you are one of the biggest production companies on the face of the earth, and you have one of the biggest franchises ever, and you have this gorgeous theater that you've just done a brand new sign for, and then you just put a compilation of just snippets of movies, why would you do that?
And I don't even like the word snippets. I hate that word. I hate it.
Between that and the previews, he's over it.
I am done. But what's also frustrating is that they take It's Tough to Be a Bug Theater, which is an amazing attraction, maybe not as popular as it should be.
Well, especially since it's closed now.
Well, now that it's closing. But they take an attraction that's actually worth seeing and put a preview in there.
And you guys, I'm telling you, it's so worth seeing. You can't see it in California Adventure anymore. It's closed there. But
is it officially closed yet, or is it in the process of closing?
I'm going to say that it's officially closed.
Okay.
I think Bugs Land is completely closed.
Oh, good grief.
Next podcast, y'all.
We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Cutting edge right there. But yeah, that theater. But you can still see it down at Walt Disney World at Animal Kingdom, right?
Right. And they can't get rid of that thing.
No.
It's a giant tree in the middle of the park.
It's the centerpiece.
It's the centerpiece. It's on all their printed media. They're not going to get rid of that.
They're not getting rid of that. So go see it immediately.
Yeah.
It's a great show. There's a CO2 fog machine that it just gets you in the face, and bugs come down from the ceiling you add that with the attraction, you add that with the preview of the original Ant-Man, and it was quite an experience to be had. And then they had the whole the nightclub scene in there where he falls onto a record and makes it skip, and I was like, oh, I hope this is actually going to make it to the movie. And then it was in there, so that was great. That made me very, very happy.
Right. But then we jump to this second movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. What was your general consensus on this one?
I mean, if I were to give it a rating, I would probably, if I had to give it a grade, I would give it probably a C+.
C+?
A C+.
Okay.
Just slightly above average.
Okay. I mean, I can generally, I give it a meh plus, which is more along the lines of
Is that an official grade you
it's
get
an
in school?
official. It's official. They're putting it on Rotten Tomatoes as we speak. But I was entertained. I enjoyed it in general.
True.
I was never bored, which happens a lot in superhero movies. They try to put a heartfelt scene in there, and it just turns boring.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp, at least, was not boring. I wasn't bored.
That's true. It wasn't boring. It was very family driven, though. Did you feel that a lot?
There was a lot of little girl talk in there, wasn't there?
There was a whole ton of it.
I don't know. They always stick a kid in there in those superhero movies.
But it wasn't even a kid, though, either. Because if you haven't seen the movie, you should immediately, or stop listening to this podcast because we're going to ruin it for you. Michelle Pfeiffer's in the movie.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
I've loved her in What Lies Beneath as Catwoman. She's just amazing. And so I was so excited to see her in it because we don't watch previews or look for spoilers before we go see things. So I get to genuinely be surprised by things. And they did a really good job of integrating her into the first movie footage. I don't know if you even remember the first movie, but the first movie footage, they kind of worked Michelle into that, and she's just wonderful. She's a very natural, not over-the-top kind of actress.
It's true.
And I feel like there's a couple more, like Paul Rudd, who plays Ant-Man, is very natural. All of his dialogue feels very fluid. And then the Hispanic actor...
Oh my gosh, he was the best.
Michael Peña, he makes those movies funny.
He totally made that movie.
No one else is funny in these, really, except for him. And those flashback scenes where it's all his voice.
If they did the entire movie that way, that would have gotten an A+ for me.
Okay.
Like,
that's what we need.
This is our new movie.
We need more Michael Peña in the movies. But I was pleasantly surprised to have Michelle Pfeiffer in there,
right,
killing it.
I mean, I wanted her to go cool Ryder, but since she didn't.
Did you just grease two in this podcast? That is so inappropriate.
Is that's a superhero movie, right?
Oh yeah, it was.
That
super
was the
horrible.
original.
It was
the original
super horrible.
Superhero movie.
That was the Catwoman origin story. But I do have to say, super spoilers, major spoilers, they managed to get Michelle Pfeiffer out of the dark zone, out of the other side, out of the upside down, whatever you want to call it, wherever she is. And she makes the comment that she's kind of evolved. She's kind of beyond a normal person now, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was very exciting. She doesn't really do much with it in this movie. She manages to do a couple things. But what I'm most excited about is the fact that we have a chance now for an older female superhero.
Yeah.
Which does not happen.
It's never happened.
No, the most popular female superheroes are all young, pretty. Not that Michelle Pfeiffer's not pretty, because she's
pretty hot.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you have, the X-Men ladies who are all super young and beautiful, and you have Wonder Woman, who's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Mm-hmm. But you don't have an older woman in the superhero universe. You have tons of old guys, though. Like, Batman never stops being Batman. I feel like he's in the nursing home, still slinging around his cape and, chasing Joker in a walker. Like, we need older female superheroes.
Yeah.
And I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer as, Quantum Woman, whatever they're going to call her from here on out. And maybe it's in the comic books and I just don't know. I'm just going off movie information at this point. I'm assuming you don't know anything comic book wise about a Quantum Woman, right?
Oh gosh, no. I could probably Google it, maybe, but then that'll ruin the whole next movie, and I don't want that to happen. They're already ruining it for me.
Right. Well, but then you also have this other female character in this movie, Ghost. The Ghost. She-Ghost. Is it just Ghost?
Probably just Ghost. We're
Ghost.
supposed to like her, right?
I think we're supposed to like her.
At the end?
She's kind of...
Likeable. To me, she was the happiest. She was not the happiest part. She wasn't happy at all. But her costume was the coolest.
Oh, she had the best costume by
Yeah.
far. Kind of like the whiteout kind of super sleek.
Sacha Velour kind of a thing.
Oh, there you go. With the hood and the mask. Yeah, for sure. But she was a sympathetic villain, which isn't done well a lot. They try to make you feel bad for the villains, but in general, I don't ever feel bad for them. She had a pretty good reason to be the bad guy, quote unquote, in this movie.
Yeah.
Bad girl. So I give her a pass on that. I think her character was interesting enough that she could have sustained this movie as the main villain alone, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure.
But unfortunately, they don't give her that opportunity, and we have some sort of... This guy... he had a weird forehead, right?
Well, I don't know what's up with that forehead.
Like, was he wearing a wig? Is he normally bald and he's got a wig on and, like, wooden teeth? Like, there was something off about his appearance that I didn't...
I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. But anyway, it's a secondary villain that's has no superpowers, is just super rich, and has connections to crooked government members.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
No, it's terrible.
No, but if I was a villain, this is the villain I want to be. Super rich, well-connected.
Well, I guess it's something for all of us to aspire to. If you wanted to be a supervillain and have no superpowers, just start making some money.
Right.
Because they might put you in a movie. But I felt like his storyline was completely unnecessary and had no real bearing other than causing complications every now and then. You know?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Which is unfortunate. I feel like the Ghost could have handled it.
Yeah. But they're probably going to extend out her character then in the next movies, though, going forward.
I wouldn't be surprised with the way they're going if they don't give her own movie.
With 50 more to go.
With 6 more planned in the next 6 years. You know, like, if you look at the list of movies coming out...
Will they also make $161 million?
I don't know. If they make Ghost interesting enough, maybe.
I would pay $161 million to go see Ghost.
You're not a supervillain yet. Oh. We ain't got that money for you to go see movies. He's willing to throw all of his money away
on evil ghost girl.
On a movie about a ghost girl.
Right.
But the other thing about these Marvel movies that we have to talk about is these end credit scenes. We have never, like, I don't think you and I have ever sat and watched an end credit scene, have we? Have I ever made you do that?
No.
Okay. So the general consensus...
Are they available online?
I'm sure.
Okay.
But the general consensus is you watch this whole 2+ hour movie sometimes, and then they want you to sit through all of the credits to see a scene at the end, right?
Right.
Which I think is respectful to sit and watch the credits. It shows respect to people who have seen the movie. I just don't want to do it. Is that bad? Does that make me a bad person?
I don't think so.
I'm a bad person. So, I'm a villain. I'm a super villain. A super wealthy super villain. But
guys,
I save my money by not sitting through the credits. But they want you to sit through these really long credits for this end scene that is almost always not worth it.
The payoff is never there.
It's like less than 30 seconds sometimes of someone saying, hey, you want to join our group? And then there's like a cameo from Thor randomly, you know, and you're like, okay, nice, I guess. But I sat through all the credits for that super short scene.
I'm glad we don't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
Plus, it gets us out of the theater much quicker.
Oh, that's true. There's not as much crowds walking out of a Marvel movie after it's over.
I wondered why we were one of the first out the door.
So, fun question though. So in the movie, Michael Peña's character says he wants a suit with superpowers, or even just a cool suit without the superpowers. So, if you were going to get a cool suit with or without superpowers, what kind of suit would you get?
Is it a superhero suit with powers full of money?
Yeah.
That's why
it's an ATM suit.
Yeah.
You're just a square with wheels.
Oh, full of money.
We'll call you Money Bags.
Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks. This is the real Mary Poppins sequel. It's Mr. Banks as a supervillain.
Oh.
I don't think that would make much money. But you wouldn't need it.
I wouldn't need it.
Because you're Mr. Banks.
I have it. But on that, with the previews, is there nothing better than watching a winter snowy preview of the Nutcracker when you're sitting in a theater, when you just came in from 96-degree weather with 87% humidity, you sit down, the air conditioning hits you, and a preview comes on of snow? That was glorious.
It's like a 4D movie in our own theater.
Legitimately, you're like, this is heaven. The flip side is like when you go to see Frozen in the middle of the wintertime and then you walk out and it's actually frozen.
Oh, that was
very depressing.
It wasn't as much fun.
No, that was the worst part of the movie for me, was the walking outside of the theater after.
That was the worst part.
That was the worst part.
But in all honesty, like when you go see the Nutcracker, I'm sure I didn't even notice when it was coming out, but
November.
I'm sure it's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's November.
So it's gonna be cold anyway.
It is going to be cold, so that's going to
But
be
is
very...
that going to be a good movie? Completely off subject. The Nutcracker, realms, magic. We're gonna hit you with
I mean,
rats.
so
I don't know what they're doing.
very CGI heavy, right? That was like the
Super
only way it was
CGI
going to be
heavy.
made. And that was the thing that I absolutely loved about the new Greatest Showman is when we found out how much of it was done in authentic style.
Right.
They actually used real paint. They, then you're like, wow, I even appreciate it even more. When it's all CGI, at a certain point, you're just like, it looks cool, but am I watching a video game at this point?
Well,
Like,
and Ant-Man and the Wasp is very CGI heavy. There were a couple shots in there that I was like, oof, that's 100% CGI.
None of it
and
is.
it's a little obvious that it's 100% CGI.
it's even there.
But I mean, overall,
Am I gonna
Met
love it?
Plus, like,
Yeah.
it may not be one that I buy and watch continually, but it was fun to go see, and I didn't have a problem with that. I hope that they can keep my attention long enough to see another one.
Yeah.
You know? But that is our quick discussion of all things Ant-Man and the Wasp and movies in the parks, or previews in the parks as it were. Come on, Disney, let's put some Captain EO back in your parks. Until next time, follow my perfectly sculpted two-finger point to the exit. And we'll see you next time on Obscure Disney Podcast.